Let's go! Sam Pittman is the most hated coach in the SEC.
Yes, sir.
And what I want to do is go back to the 2021 recruiting class, the first full cycle for Sam Pittman as the head coach of the Hogs, and really show you why things have gotten so bad on the Hill. Now, what's funny here is this sack was actually made by two players in the 2021 recruiting class, but they were both one-year transfer rentals. So you have Trey Harris coming off the edge here. He takes up two players as a part of a double team, so he gets absolutely mollywopped. But this opens up the one-on-one situation for Ridgeway to make this sack. So Ridgeway and Williams were actually two of the only good players in this transfer class. Utsey was also originally from Parkview High School. He was also a good transfer defensive lineman for Arkansas. But when you take a look at the other transfers in this crop, they weren't really good at all. So if I were to give it a grade, Ridgeway and Williams both deserve A's, and Utsey probably a B to a B+. Now, you're taking a look at the other four transfers, and all four of them have had different careers, to say the least. Trent Gordon was just a career backup, not really anything at Penn State. He came over to Arkansas and, once again, was mostly just a backup, had some academic issues, wasn't even available for bowl games, and then overall eventually went to the transfer portal. Warren Thompson's probably someone you remember. I mean, overall, he was a semi-productive number 3 option for Arkansas, caught 31 passes in his career, but eventually he just flat out quit the team. Cade Renfro, I think a lot of you remember him as a quarterback who never played, kicked off for sexual assault allegations. He filed suits back towards the accusers, but either way, he never really did anything at Arkansas. And then Tykees Crawford is actually still on the team, was mostly a backup, but also had 4 starts last year. Pro Football Focus views him as a good pass blocker, but at this moment in time, we don't know if he's even going to start next year.
Yeah, he got it. Cam Little from deep.
So that's it for the transfers. We're going to focus now on the high school recruits. You're taking a look at the 5 lowest rated ones, and it's highlighted by Cam Little, one of the best Arkansas specialists of all time, selected, of course, in this past NFL draft by the Jacksonville Jaguars. Now, the other players, Josh Street, Jordan Hanna, they've done pretty much nothing. I don't think Street even plays college football anymore, and Hanna has 2 total tackles at UNLV. The other is a punter and a long snapper who both never played at Arkansas. So an F seems harsh because, well, these are like outside the top 1,000 3-star recruits. So let's move up this board just a little bit. Jermaine Hamilton Jordan, just a massive disappointment because he was an early enrollee that they were really excited about. I really have no idea what happened to him, but he left the team soon after joining Arkansas. Devon Manuel was a very exciting 3-star behemoth out of Louisiana. Started 4 games this past year, but had to transfer to Florida because during a game versus LSU this past year, an exorcism was performed on him. You'll see a close replay. Once again, this is Mekhi Wingo, who just got selected in the NFL draft, and this is why Devon Manuel rarely played and rarely started. And then we get to a painful one. This was a kid I was really rooting for, Landon Rogers, who was initially a quarterback coming out of Parkview High School, and man, was he worth the price of admission. I mean, the dude was freaking electric. But so far, he switched to wide receiver. He's now at UNLV. 1 career catch for 7 yards. So overall, Manuel, decent. The others, not so much. We won't spend too much time here on Wright, Outley, Lowry, or Avant. This clip right here is actually Aaron Outley at the same high school as Rogers, and this is one of the more ridiculous plays I've seen a tight end make in high school, hurdling 2 different people. But here's a stat. None of these 4 has even recorded a single statistic at all at any college. Lucas Coley will be the next player, a 3-star quarterback out of Texas, and KJ was the guy while he was here, and he never really got a chance to play, so he enters the portal, goes to Houston, and their quarterback room is also loaded. So he had 3 pass attempts in his career with the Cougars, and now he is back into the portal. But these next 2 players, bizarre. So Chris Paul and Bryce Stevens both had massive, and I mean massive impacts on the 2022 Razorbacks. And in the background, you're looking at Bryce Stevens return a punt for a touchdown. And a big reason why this punt was returned for a touchdown was because of a nice block laid by Christopher Pooh Paul. So we'll start with Stevens. He had 9 catches, and this is obviously... Actually, Chris Paul missed his block here. But Stevens still takes this to the house. This obviously is what led to help complete this comeback versus Bobby Petrino's Missouri State a few years ago. Stevens also had 9 catches as a receiver in a tricky, good Arkansas wide receiver room in 2022. And then in 2023, he played in 3 games and didn't do anything at all. You rarely see a guy do some good things in 2022 and nothing actually happens in 2023. The same thing actually happened to Chris Pooh Paul, where in obviously 2022 he was a beast. Then 2023, not only a regression in Pro Football Focus statistics, but he just wasn't as impactful of a player. He makes a lateral move. Well, is it lateral to go over to Ole Miss? A lot of steam there. So now we're starting to reach the higher tier 3 stars, and all 3 of these guys gave absolutely nothing outside of Hunt, who had 4 carries for 19 yards. As in, none of these 3 guys have recorded statistics since these 4 carries for 19 yards. All right, so these next 3 players are all very interesting. You would think someone with the name Jaedon Williams would have been a good player at Arkansas. He did absolutely nothing. He kind of quit on the team, went to Southern Miss, and became a decent defensive lineman. Overall, a pretty big bust because he was a highly rated JUCO player. But the next 2 guys, Cameron Ball has been a really, really good Arkansas defensive tackle. Had a really good spring. Look at this swing move right in here to blow this run up and to force it to bounce. And then you'll see Chris Paul miss this tackle. And guess who comes in to save the day? Jaedon Johnson, another one of the players that we are referencing here, another 3-star. This, to me, has been the defining play of Johnson's career. It's 3rd and 6. If you don't make this play, it's a first down. And as many of you know, Arkansas would go on to win this game. And Johnson with a ridiculous pass breakup. Now, he's mostly not been good compared to Cameron Ball, who to me has mostly been pretty solid. I wouldn't say either are spectacular players, but they're both coming back to Arkansas as starters next year.
For me, I mean, it's just been more of a put my head down and grind to become one of those guys. I've always been wanting to be one of those guys, and when I had the chance, I just put my head down and grinded in.
So now we're starting to get to the top of Arkansas's board per composite rankings, and Jaedon Wilson was a 4-star recruit in the class of 2021, and you see him take this ball to the house thanks to a great block right there by Isaac Tesla, but this was against Western Carolina. So you're looking at Jaedon Wilson's production in the bottom of the screen here, and as you can see, it's been near non-existent, and he's only had 2 touchdowns in his career. The other actually came versus Florida International, so his only production has come against these FCS non-Power 5 schools. So he's entering year 4. They gave him Uno, the jersey number 1. That's pretty bold for a guy who's done very little.
You know, at Arkansas, that's when it happened, well, not even with my shoulder, but with my knee. And during the season, it was a little awful for me.
So before last season, I warned you guys that Rocket could be due for a regression year, and last year was certainly that. It was mostly due to injuries, like he mentioned. The Western Carolina game, the first game of the year, is where he did hurt his knee. But take out last year, where he still was a good player. You don't win the Florida game without him. In 2022, it was phenomenal. And look, yes, he was a huge beneficiary of a really good blocking scheme with Kendall Briles. And then, of course, Enos came in and ruined everything. But he was still very, very, very good. As you see all these broken tackles versus Georgia, for goodness sakes. Put some respect on Rocket's name and give him an A. So now we get to Terry Wells. This was the number 1 rated player in Arkansas and probably the bust that hurt the absolute worst, knowing Arkansas's offensive line issues, especially last year. I want you to take a look at this next clip. This is ridiculous. Causing violence to the white hat official. I love it. But he had to medically retire. He never played at all at Arkansas, so just a really sad story. So Wells was a pretty elite top 254 star, and this next guy was as well, Ketron Jackson, who is pretty much a slightly more productive Jaedon Wilson, except he left Arkansas after 2022. This was one of his few highlights at Arkansas as a wide receiver, a perfectly blocked play that most wide receivers are scoring on. This past year at Baylor, he's been pretty good. He started to really come on towards the end of the year, but overall, just a mediocre producer and someone that didn't really move the needle all that much. Now we've reached the highest ranked Hog in the class of 2021. Can you name him? A little trivia question here for you via our friends at nooffseason.com. I know a lot of you have asked me about sports cards. We've given out a few KJ Jefferson cards on this channel. Well, our friends at No Offseason, they help you with sports card consultations, learn more about your collection. And really quickly, before the trivia question is answered, let's do some numbers crunching. 33 total players in this class. Less than half of them played at all. Only 7 of them got a B grade, so that's a less than 1 in 4 chance you actually got a good SEC player. And the high school recruiting was just awful. 4 of 26 players, a 15% chance. Wow. So look, some of these guys could turn into Bs, right? Like a Jaedon Wilson or Jaden Johnson. Some of you might already think they are. But the truth is, you begin to feel a little sympathetic for Sam Pittman because, well, that's just a lot of bad. Now, is that on him to develop them better? Sure, some of that you could put on him. But, I mean, I don't think when he recruited all those guys that only 4 of them would be good SEC players. Now, he did do a lot of dart throws on outside the top 700 level 3-star players. That's okay. That was his first full recruiting class, and he probably got a little excited there. And yeah, that first full year, his best year, those 1-year rentals really helped the team out. But you begin to see why 2023 stunk so bad, because normally the framework for whatever team's season is actually the recruiting class 2 years prior. So 2023, the framework of that team would have been the 2021 class, guys that are in year 3 of their collegiate careers. And as you can see, none of those guys really helped this team at all last year outside of a select few. Now, does this excuse Sam Pittman's ineptitude last year? Not really. So let's take a team like Missouri, right? They had a magical season. What about their 2021 recruiting class? Well, they were actually ranked 1 spot lower than the Arkansas class, and the 2 best players in that class transferred out before last year. So Missouri was able to portal and coach around it, and Arkansas wasn't at all. And Missouri, of course, was one of the best teams in all of college football. Maybe that's just an exception to the rule. Another thing is the state of Arkansas just does not do the Razorbacks any favors. I mean, it's just bus city after bus city. I don't think there has been a good Division I Power 5 high school player from the state of Arkansas since Traylon Burks, or, an elite one. But still, it's really hard for any coach at Arkansas to succeed when you don't get help from your home state recruits. Let me know what your big takeaways are and give me your grade on this class. And the highest ranked player from this class was A.J. Green, and we showed you pretty much his only 2 career highlights. Now, he had a few others. I would grade A.J. Green, who has transferred out, I would give him a C. And you would have never thunk he would be a C-level player with this highlight reel versus a Texas A&M defense loaded with NFL guys. That's Edrin Cooper he's beating in your background on a mesh rail concept. But he was another running back that suffered with Art Briles leaving. Last year, DeBinion kind of beat him out. And Green and DeBinion just always struggled to make guys miss and whatnot. But A.J. Green overall was a decent – he might be a B. I don't know. But you guys comment down below. Let me know what you guys think of today's video. It is Power Hour SEC. Boom! And tonight, we're doing enchiladas. Let's go.